Elevate Jiu-Jitsu Mag presents Ask a Lady Black Belt. Today's panel is with Rachel Casillas out of Spring Hill, Tennessee, Mary Holmes out of Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and Ginger Mark out of DeLand, Florida.
Hey guys, I'm Rachel Morrison Casillas and I train here at Tennessee Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy in Spring Hill, Tennessee. I'm a first degree black belt under Ray Casillas and Robert Drysdale. I was asked by Denise to answer a couple questions for Elevate Jiu-Jitsu magazine, so I'm going to do that for you guys. First of all, I want to give a quick shout out to my sponsor, Shoyoroll. I appreciate them supporting me and believing me, and we're going to continue to compete and teach as long as we can. Hopefully this downtime will be over pretty soon. So I have a couple questions that were submitted by women in jiu-jitsu, and I want to answer them, and I'm going to give a shout out to the person who asked them. The second question that was submitted to me comes from Stacy Councilman in California, and it says, women in jiu-jitsu always seem to be under scrutiny by those of the opposite sex, no matter how far they go, how many championships they earn, and no matter what they do for others. Did you feel like you had to prove yourself even more as a new black belt, or did achieving that rank help you realize you put in the work and earned it? I actually felt like I knew the least amount of jiu-jitsu when I got my black belt. I talk about this in a conversation I had with AJ Klingerman in her Beauty in Jen Eads and her Beauty in the Gi podcast. So you can go, I don't remember what episode it is, but I'm sure if you send AJ Klingerman a message, she'll tell you about sort of this exact situation. Like I said before, I always felt like I needed to prove something because of the success my husband had and everyone knew who Ray was, that I wanted to make sure I had my own jiu-jitsu journey. So I worked really hard to win the pans, win the world, and not just do it once, but do it repeatedly. But when I got my black belt is when, not so much the fear, but I did have that imposter syndrome. I'm like, there's no way I'm a black belt. So I was the opposite. Even though I'd earned it, even though I had the accolades, even though there's nothing else for me to prove at any of the belt levels, I thought in my head, I am not good enough to be a black belt. I will say that's when my learning really started, and when my teaching became much better was when I would think fundamentally and conceptually about jiu-jitsu. And now, 5 years later, after getting my black belt, I feel very confident with where I am, but none of that confidence came from getting my black belt. It came from putting in the time afterwards. And what I find with a lot of women is, and not just women, but men as well, they get the rank of black belt or they get the rank of any other belt, and they're afraid to admit to other people that they don't know the answer to something, or that they don't know how to do something, or they're not good at it, or they're afraid to compete and lose to someone, or get beat in a role in training to a lower belt. And that doesn't do anything for anybody. You've got to let that ego go, because that's the only way you're going to get better. This is something I've talked about too on a couple of podcasts, is women, and particularly the higher the rank they get, some of them stop competing because they don't want to lose and they don't want people to think they're not good at jiu-jitsu. It's everyone's individual journey, so you have to set your ego aside and be okay with rolling with that hardcore blue belt or hardcore purple belt that's going to come after you. I mean, I have the youngins here, and right now I have a whole bunch of purple belts. I just promoted a bunch, but when they were blue belts and those 20-year-olds were coming after me like I stole their lunch, you know, that's what I needed. Like, sometimes they're quicker and faster than me, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to outsmart them in jiu-jitsu, but it makes my jiu-jitsu better. And you have to be okay with that. So I actually had the opposite experience in that once I got to black belt, I felt less smart with jiu-jitsu than I did before, because this was the belt that everyone looked at. You want to, you know, strive to be. And once I got here, I'm like, okay, now what do I do? And then I realized, and with the help of my husband, who's helped me be a much better instructor and teammate and leader, that you're always growing in this situation. So I think now it's taken me at least 4 or 5 years to get to the point where if I have a student that asks me, well, I'm doing X but it's not working, I don't have any shame in saying, I don't know. I don't know why it's not working for you, or I don't know the answer to it, but let's workshop it, let's brainstorm it, let's ask one of the other 15 black belts we have here, maybe they have a better answer than I do. There's literally no way to have all the answers in jiu-jitsu. You can give your own experience and what you've learned from your instructors, and that's all you have, and you should be grateful for that. But I do think what worked for me in establishing, proving myself, was just competing at every level. Again, I stress for people compete because you learn a lot about yourself in competition. But again, my experience has been somewhat different in that when I got to black belt was when that imposter syndrome really kicked in for me. And it took a while to get through that. Again, I go into it a little bit more in depth in the podcast that I've done for some other things, Beauty and the Gi being one of them, so you can look that up. But I love answering questions, so if you have any questions, you can send them to Denise at Elevate Jiu-Jitsu Mag, or you can find me at Rachel Morrison Casillas on Facebook. I do have a Instagram account. I think it's Rachel Casillas BJJ. Alex Emilio Hernandez runs that for me, so you can reach out to him if you need something as well. And you can also follow my husband, Ray Casillas. And if you have any questions regarding jiu-jitsu, please feel free to ask either one of us. Thanks so much.
Hi guys, my name is Ginger Mark. I am from DeLand, Florida. I own an academy here. It's Warrior Defense Martial Arts. I'm a Roberto Traven black belt. I've been asked to help answer a question. The question comes from Stacy Councilman, my friend from California. Stacy was talking about how women in jiu-jitsu are constantly under scrutiny, kind of treated differently by the opposite sex, no matter what you do, accomplish, championships, what you do for the community, things like that. And it's true, it is. That's just the way it is. It's the way it is in the world on anything. But she asked me if I felt like getting my black belt, if I had to even prove myself more that I deserved it, or if earning that rank kind of helped squash that a little bit. That's an interesting question. I would have to say, coming up through, I felt like I had to prove myself a little more. When I did get my black belt, I honestly, my focus was on, holy crap, I have my black belt. Now I need to like really prove that I deserve to be here, but not just to the opposite sex, to everybody, and to myself and to my students. And that was all in my head. You know, I put the work in. Master Traven would never award a belt that he did not feel was deserved, and I needed to kind of calm down on that. So that was when I first got it. That was where I was at. But honestly, my interaction with the other black belts, specifically male, because that's what we're talking about, has been really good. The level of respect given, even from other affiliations, they really treat you with respect. Like, because I think you're right, Stacy. They know what work is put into it, and they know that you have to work hard for it. It's not something you can just buy off Amazon and get a black belt. And you have to really earn it, and you prove yourself from the moment you step on the mat as a white belt to continuing training after black belt. So to answer your question, no, I don't feel like I have to prove myself more. Once I did achieve this rank, I feel like I really, you run across your couple, goofballs that act, they're just male chauvinists no matter what you do. But in general, I would have to say that I really get treated with a lot of respect, and I really don't feel like I have to prove myself to them. The proof is on the mat. So I hope that answers your question, Stacy. Thank you for the opportunity to help answer these questions on Ask a Lady Black Belt. I hope you guys have a blessed day.
Hey everybody, it's me, Mary Holmes, again here for Elevate Jiu-Jitsu Mag's Ask a Black Belt section. This question is from Stacy in California. Stacy asks, or states, women in jiu-jitsu always seem to be under scrutiny by the opposite sex no matter what, how far they go, how many championships they earn, and no matter what they do for others. Did you feel like you had to prove yourself even more as a new black belt, or did achieving that rank help others realize you put in the work and earned it? So in my personal experience, I definitely was not sure if I deserved a black belt when I got promoted. I definitely questioned my skills, definitely questioned my abilities. I did not feel like I thought I would feel as a black belt in terms of my technical ability or mastery or you know uh, skill level, and so it. Of course, I had some self doubt. I think we all do. I think we do with every belt promotion, and I know I'm not the only one. And there was that worry that I couldn't back up the belt I had. But someone I trained with, his name is Jake Whitfield. He made a good point. He's like, your instructor thinks you're a black belt, like, and if they didn't think that you weren't, they wouldn't promote you, or they wouldn't. In our organization, we have a test we have to do. They wouldn't have you go up to take that test. So, in terms of feeling like I had to prove myself, putting in that perspective, and then realizing that the more I tried to force people to believe in me, and I really have no control over how people think about my jujitsu, the more I tried to worry about that, the less I was able to enjoy training. And I really love training, and I think that people see how much I enjoy training, how seriously I take training, although I try not to take myself too seriously. And so that was more important, just realizing I have a foundation now, that my job is to kind of keep learning and growing. I still have a ton of holes in my game. I still get submitted by lower belts, and I just have to keep working on fixing my jiu-jitsu. In terms of women in jiu-jitsu, I definitely hope that we can continue to promote women's jiu-jitsu, have people who have the ability to um, record matches or promote matches, that they promote women's matches, that they see how good and how technical these amazing competitors are at all levels. I'm just so impressed with the skill that women have. So go to women's seminars, support their matches. If you guys can continue to do that, and just like the Denise and Nicole are doing at Elevate Jiu-Jitsu Mag. So that's what I would say to that, and hopefully that answers your question. Just keep training, believe in yourself, believe in your jiu-jitsu, and stay safe out there.